Hey guys, today we are going to do a new lesson. It's called adding integers. We have been adding integers our whole lives, just positive integers, but I'm going to define an integer today as any whole number and its opposite. So there are positive and negative integers. Some examples would be -7 and 7, -2 and 2. We're going to use some models and number lines to help us with this as we do our work today. So one of the very first things we're going to do is we're going to add two positive integers. That is something, like I said, you've been doing since kindergarten. But we're going to look at it on the number line and with our model. So everything that we do today, our open circle is going to be a positive, and our closed circle is going to be a negative. So if I have the problem 2 plus 3, what I'm really doing is I'm taking 2 positives plus 3 positives. What do I have? I have 5 positives. Like I said, this is not new information, but these circles are going to become very important later. On a number line, when I add a positive integer, so if I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and -1 down here. When I'm adding on a number line, whenever I add a positive integer, I'm going to start with the first number in my equation, which would be 2, and I'm going to move to the right the positive number 1, 2, 3. So my answer is 5. So I'm going to write that down so you don't forget. When adding a positive integer on a number line, move to the right on the number line. That's going to become very important as we get into more complicated equations. Okay, so that's our first example, positive plus a positive. Let's look at our second one. What if we have a positive number? We'll just use the same digits, 2 plus a -3. I want you to notice that when I'm using negative numbers, I'm putting them in parentheses. Okay, so we're going to use our model again. Always start with the first number in your equation. So I have 2 positives. Now, I'm going to line up my negative numbers vertically, so I have 3 negatives. So we know that a positive and a negative is going to cancel each other out, which it's called a 0 pair, so that's going to leave us with 1 negative. So when you have, and I want to write that down so you don't forget, so 2 plus a -3 should leave us 1 negative. We'll look at it on number line 2 in just a second. But I'm going to write that rule down so that you don't forget it. When you have 1 positive and 1 negative, it becomes a 0 pair. And they cancel each other out. Okay, just like we saw here. All right, we were left with 1 negative. Now let's look at it on a number line. All right, we just said when we add a positive number, we're going to move to the right. So up here, I'm going to put a little arrow to remind me to move to the right. Well, when I add a negative number, I'm going to move to the left on the number line. So let me draw my number line. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1, -2, -3. Okay, so I'm always going to start at the first digit in my equation, 2. And I'm adding a -3, so that means I'm moving to the left. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, and I end up at -1. So with my model, I got a -1, and also with my number line, I'm going to get a -1. Okay, so let me write that down about when adding on a number line, you're going to move to the left. So I'll write down when adding a negative integer, move to the left on the number line, period. Okay, let's now look at adding negative numbers. So if I start with, in our third example, we'll call this example C. If I start with a negative number, like -2, and I add a positive number, 3, what's that gonna look like? So let's do our model first. Always put the first digit on top, so we have -2, and line up vertically your whole numbers, which is 3. So they cancel each other out, and I'm left with 1 positive. Let's look at it on a number line. I'm adding a positive, so that means I'm moving to the right. So here we go. If I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2, -3. All right, I'm always going to start at my first digit in the equation. So I'm at -2. I'm moving to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. Circle my answer. I'm at 1. So my answer is 1. All right, example D. This is when you have a negative plus a negative. Notice I'm putting my negative numbers in parentheses. Keeps it cleaner. Okay, so I've got I've got a -2, and I've got -3. So I'm drawing my model. What do I have? I have 5 negatives. Okay, let's draw our number line. I'm adding a negative, so I'm moving to the left. So I'll start at -2 on my number line. And I'll move to the left because I'm adding a -3. So I'm going 1, 2, 3. I got -5. Do you notice that I got 5 negatives in my model and I got -5 on my number line? Okay, so now I'm going to have you do some practice problems on your own. And I'm going to have you work them out. I'd like you to draw your model and your number line for each one. You may go ahead and pause the video in between after you've written the problems so that you can solve them, and then I'll continue the video with the answers at the end. Okay, so your first problem is -4 plus 1. Your second problem is 5 plus -3. Your third problem is -1 plus -2. Your fourth problem is -4 plus 8. Your fifth problem is -2 plus -2. And your sixth problem is 3 plus -3. All right, guys, I'd like you to go ahead and pause the video so you can work these out. Remember, make a model and a number line for each problem. Press pause. Okay, I'm gonna go through the answers. -4 plus 1 gave me a -3. Here's my model. I had 1 pair, 0 pair to cancel, which gave me 3 negatives. I'm moving to the right because I'm adding a positive, so I got -3 on my number line. 5 plus a -3 is 2 wholes. You have 5 positives plus 3 negatives, leaves you 2 positives. On the number line, I'm moving to the left. -1 plus -2 gives me -3. I'm moving to the left on the number line. -4 plus 8 gives me 4 wholes. I'm moving to the right on the number line. Give me 4 positives, I'm sorry. 5 was -2 plus -2. On the number line, I'm moving to the left. It gives me a -4. And the last problem was 3 plus -3, which gave me 0. The positives and the negatives canceled each other out, and I moved to the left on the number line. That's it. If you have any questions, go ahead and send me a message. Great job.